What's up, guys? ThunderPrince09 coming at you now with an Odd Eyes Magician deck profile for December 2015. So we're just going to get into it, and I'm going to explain some of the combos that go into this deck. So let's just get down to the nitty gritty. First up, we got triple Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon. Basically, if he's in the Pendulum Zone, you can destroy it and search out a Pendulum monster, 1500 attack or less. Then if it's Pendulum summoned, or if it's summoned at all, if it battles with a monster, if it inflicts damage, when it's battling a monster, it's gonna deal double that damage. So he's always pretty nice. Next up, I've got the one Zhanki Magician. I'm using this also in addition with Young Shen Magician, just because I want to pull out Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon the legit way, like Yuya did in the anime. So I'm running one, and also the part where it can negate light monster effects is also pretty nice. Next up, I'm running triple Dragon Pit Magician. I found out the hard way, I cannot just run two, I need to run all three because it is the highest scale that I have in addition to the Perform Pal Skulker Bat Joker, but more often than not, I'd rather have this in the scale than the Joker itself. Next up, personal tech of mine, just because, is the Perform Pal LF Hammer. And the reason I'm running this is because I'm running Beast Eyes Pendulum Dragon, and I had no other Beast cards in this deck since I originally was running the drumming Kong, or I don't know what the fuck its TCG name is, but I was running that and I didn't like it, so I threw in the LF Hammer, and 26 damage if the Beast Size attacks, so that's always pretty nice, if it destroys a monster, so we'll get into that later, but LF Hammer is in the deck. Next up, Oath Dragon Magician at 3. Just like Dragon Pit, I was running it at 2, but then quickly learned that I couldn't run it at 2. I needed to run it at 3. So now that's why I'm running it at 3, because if it's in the Pendulum Zone and you have another Magician, you can add a Pendulum, or you can add a Magician or an Odd Eyes from your extra deck to your hand. Or if it's special summoned or normal summoned, you can add a Magician or Odd Eyes from the graveyard to your hand. So it's pretty nice. Next up, just the one Dragon Pulse Magician. Just to complement Dragon Pit, if it's in the Pendulum Zone and you have another Magician, you can pitch a Pendulum monster and pop a monster. I forgot to mention that about Dragon Pit. With Dragon Pit, if you have another Magician, you can pitch a Pendulum monster to pop back row. So that's always nice. Next up, we've got triple Skulker Bat Jokers. You can search for Magicians, you can search for Performer Pals, you can search for Odd Eyes. This guy just does it all, and 1800 is nothing to laugh at. This guy can put in some serious work, and he's just straight up dangerous. Next up, we've got triple Wisdom Eye Magicians, because right now we can play him at 3. I'm sure he'll get hit, but if he does, we'll worry about that another time. But you run 3 because if he's in the Pendulum Zone and you have another Magician, you can pretty much pop himself and replace it with another Magician monster, so you can properly set up your scales. Or if he's in hand and you have a monster or a Pendulum scale that's different from the original, you send this to the graveyard and it basically becomes its original scale. And we'll get more into that just down the line. Actually, it's going to be with the next card, Yang Shen Magician. So this card is a little funny because if you control more cards than your opponent, its scale becomes 4. So if you have this and you have the Young Zhanki Magician, and your opponent controls less cards than you do, the scales don't work. So you can pitch the Wisdom Eye. You can pitch this to graveyard to make it a level or a scale 8, and then get all your plays off. And then if she's in the Pendulum scale, you can target an Xyz monster and a level 5 or higher monster you have, and basically its rank becomes equal to that level. Then you use this effect to basically break down the Xyz rank and change it into a level. So this is how you go to Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon. And then her monster effect is she can gain attack. Basically, this card's attack becomes equal to that card's attack, and she can crash into whatever she wants. So that's always pretty nice. That's why I run her. And then the one Noble Dragon Magician, because if you have Odd Eyes, you can basically make Odd Eyes level 4 and then go for any level 7 play. synchro summon, so that's always nice. And she's a discard fodder for your magicians like Dragon Pit or Dragon Pulse to pitch to graveyard, since she can special summon herself from hand or grave for Odd Eyes. And then to round up the monsters, we got 2 effect veilers, just because hand traps are still pretty good. I would, if I had maxis, I might run maxis over this, but right now I have veilers, so I will be running those. Next up to the spells, I got the 1 chicken game, just because I want the extra draw power. Even in one instance, it actually saved my butt from taking any more damage, so 1 chicken game is all I'm working with right now. We got 2 Mystical Space Typhoons to pop to deal with back row or other pendulum scales. It just depends, but this is nice, and because I also don't have Galaxy Cyclones, so that's why it's there. Next up, a must triple Pendulum Call. You discard a card and you add 2 magician monsters from your deck to your hand with different names until the end of your opponent's next turn. Your pendulum scales can't be destroyed by card effects, even their own. So, there is that. But so you run triple just because it helps deck thin a lot and it protects your scales for at least a turn. Next up, the 1 Pot of Riches. You return pendulum monsters from either the extra deck or the graveyard, or a combination of both, and you draw 2, but you can only pendulum summon for that turn. Next up, the 1 Reigeki, because you want to if you can clear your opponent's board and try to push for game, that's always nice. Then running 2 Sky Iris, you pop any face-up card you control and add an Odd Eyes to your hand. And if it's still there on the field, your opponent can't target your scales by any effects, and they can't be destroyed. So that's an added bonus. Next up, oh wait, I'm sorry, for the Sky Iris, it can't be targeted. I just looked at it now, but still, that's pretty good. That it can't target it, so it won't hurt you too badly. Next up, Terraforming. Search for Chicken Games or Sky Iris, pretty standard. Next up, double Wavering Eyes. I don't run triple just because I feel triple right now clogs. I side out the 3rd, but I feel 2 right now is a pretty balanced number, so I'm working with 2. It's pretty nice. So that was it for traps. Moving on to spells. I'm sorry. Now we're moving on to traps. I've got the 1 Bottomless, because Bottomless hurts not just regular decks but also pendulum decks as well. If they try to overextend, Bottomless is there to punish them. Next up is Grand Horn of Heaven. It's basically a fill-in right now for until Solemn Notice comes out, but yeah, this is still a card that hurts like a lot. So, if your opponent can't deal with this, they're pretty much screwed. And then finally, the Vanity's Emptiness, for the stun aspect. If you pretty much have a setup board, you're pretty much good to go. So Vanities is always there to help you out. So now on to the extra deck. So I've got fusions. I've got 2 fusions, 3 synchros, and 10 XCs. So we're gonna start from least to most. So we're gonna start with the fusions. I've got Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Basically you go into this with Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. So that's the best way. So if he's special summoned, you get to basically bounce a card back, a monster your opponent controls back to the hand, and then once per turn during either player's turn, if your opponent activates a spell or trap or a monster effect, you can shuffle a face-up pendulum monster from your extra deck into the deck and negate and destroy it. So that's pretty nice. And also Beast Eyes Pendulum Dragon, which is why I was running the Performapal Hammer Mammoth. If he destroys a monster by battle, you can inflict the damage equal to the attack. So in this case, Performapal Hammer Mammoth's original attack is 26. So you get to deal an extra 26 if he destroys a monster by battle. For the synchros, I'm running the Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, because if your opponent special summons a level 5 or higher monster, you can just bounce it back and try to stun them. And if it's special summoned, you do the same thing. Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon, because it's basically Armades where your opponent can't activate monster effects. I believe it's only on board. I don't know if it stops anything in hand. But if it's also summoned, you can also bring out, put one of your pendulum monsters from the pendulum zone to the monster zone if you're able to. So that's always nice. And finally, Clear Wings, to protect a lot of your level 5 or higher monsters. as well as trying to give something to make your opponent deal with right away. So Clear Wings is nice. For the XCs, we got the Cowboy. Basically, this one's there for burn damage, just to help push for game. The Majester Paladin, the Ascending Draco Slayer. This has quickly become one of my favorite XCs monsters. If you can get this off first turn, you can pretty much search for any Pendulum monster you want. Usually I search for Skulk or Bat Joker. I used to run the Unicorn, the Majester Unicorn Karen, but I didn't like it anymore, so I took it out. But with this thing, you can pretty much search for anything that you want to help your plays keep revolving, so he's pretty nice. And if in the future I decide to run Draco Slayers, it gives me an option to play the Draco Slayers as well. Castel, because bouncing stuff is still pretty good in this game, so Castel is pretty standard. 101, just because you can gobble up an opponent's monster, so again, it's a nice option to have. Dark Rebellion, just because I want to pull off Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon legit, so of course I need to run that, and the effect itself is still pretty damn good, and especially in combination with Odd Eyes. It's really deadly. And speaking of deadly, this guy is fucking stupid. Utopia Beyond, because if you use the Oath Dragons and you get this guy out and you have Odd Eyes, basically all your opponent's monsters become 0, and if Odd Eyes attacks, that's like a guaranteed 5,000 attack, you know, assuming they don't have back row or anything, but that's why you run the Utopia Beyond. Next up, we got Draco Sack. Pretty strong, rank 7 in the game. Can protect itself as long as it has tokens. Or it's basically protected if you have tokens, and it can still pop stuff, so that's always nice. The Red Eyes Flare Metal. Since you don't run Odd Eyes, or you don't run Red Eyes in this deck, I'm sorry, if you don't run since you're not running Red Eyes, you never have to worry about detaching material, and if your opponent tries to get rid of it with their Geiki, they can't, because it has Xyz material, so it can't be destroyed. And every time they resolve an effect, they take 500 damage, so that's pretty nice. Then we got the Odd Eyes Absolute. You basically negate an attack during either player's turn, and if you do, you can special summon an Odd Eyes from your graveyard. Doesn't matter what Odd Eyes it is, it can be any Odd Eyes monster. And you special summon it, and then that monster can attack or do protection. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard, when it was XC summoned, you get to special summon any Odd Eyes monster from your extra deck except for another copy of itself, which is why we run the Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon. Sorry, I threw out the wrong one. Which is why we run the Odd Eyes Vortex. So that's a good way to get that out. And finally, the big bad booty daddy himself, Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon, because I've only been able to pull him off. I've only pulled him off once, and when I did, it was very, very satisfying. He deals that burn damage, and he can attack 3 times, and God, this is just insane. But yeah, so that was the deck profile. Let me know what you guys think about this, and pretty soon I will be uploading UA or Synchron deck profile. It's going to be one of those. One of them will go up first, and then the others will be there. I'm sorry, you just saw the wrong deck. You just saw Synchrons and stuff. This is the Odd Eyes. So let me know what you guys think. And this is Thunder Prince 09, signing out.